Welcome everyone, join us today as we celebrate Helen Shapiro, the East End teenager whose powerful voice made her a star at just 15, and whose remarkable journey through music and beyond remains unforgettable. So let's dive in. Helen Kate Shapiro, born the 28th of September 1946, in Bethnal Green, London, England. Coming into the world at Bethnal Green Hospital in London, Helen was the granddaughter of Russian Jewish immigrants and grew up first in Clapton before the family later moved to the Victoria Park area of Hackney. Her parents, Annie and Albert Shapiro, worked in the garment trade, and life was modest. The family didn't even own a record player, meaning Helen had to borrow a neighbor's to hear her own first single years later. Helen had a brother Ron, who played a formative role in her early interest in music. At school she picked up a banjolele and soon began singing in her brother's skiffle group at youth clubs. Her powerful, husky voice, so unusual in a child, earned her the nickname Foghorn. By the age of 10 she was singing in a children's act called Susie and the Hula Hoops, which also featured a young Mark Bolan on guitar. Recognizing her potential, she enrolled in Maurice Berman's School of Modern Pop Singing in Baker Street at the age of 13. It was here that Helen's career took its first serious turn. Berman's classes provided valuable industry connections. At one of her lessons, John Schroeder, a young songwriter and A&R man for EMI, was struck by her voice and arranged an audition with EMI's producer Norrie Paramore. When Paramore first heard her demo, he assumed such a resonant voice must belong to a boy, only to be stunned when he discovered the singer was a shy teenage girl. This moment opened the door to Helen's recording career. In 1961, aged just 14, Helen recorded her debut single, Don't Treat Me Like a Child, written by Schroeder and Mike Hawker and released on Columbia Records, a subsidiary of EMI. Backed by Paramore's production, it became an immediate success, rising to number 3 in the UK charts in May 1961. Helen was still a schoolgirl, yet her voice carried the authority of someone twice her age. She was also the first British artist to have 2 top 10 singles while still at school. Her rise was rapid, and that same year, Helen released her second single, You Don't Know, which stormed to number 1 on the 10th of August 1961 and sold over 1 million copies, earning her a gold disc. A follow-up, Walkin Back to Happiness, became her second number 1 single on the 19th of October 1961, selling 40,000 copies a day at one point, during a 19-week run on the charts. By the end of the year, Helen was Britain's top female teen idol and the youngest to achieve such extraordinary success. Her next single, Tell Me What He Said, released in March 1962, climbed to number 2, cementing her reputation. She had achieved 3 top 3 singles within her first year in music. Helen's debut album, Tops With Me, in 1962, reached number 2 on the UK Albums Chart and included covers of contemporary pop hits, allowing her to showcase her vocal versatility. In addition to her LPs, she became a dominant force on the UK EP charts. Notably, her Helen's Hit Parade EP topped the EP chart in March 1962 and again later that May, proving her popularity extended well beyond singles. Over the next few years, more albums followed, including Helen 16 and Helen in Nashville, both in 1963, and Helen Hits Out in 1964. At one point in Nashville, she recorded It's My Party, but EMI delayed its release. This opened the door for Leslie Gore, whose version became a worldwide hit instead. It was one of several missed opportunities during this transitional phase. Helen was also cast in films during her peak pop years. She appeared in Richard Lester's 1962 pop musical It's Trad Dad, performing with her usual assurance on screen, and in Michael Winner's Play It Cool, also in 1962, where she performed Cry My Heart Out and I Don't Care. Her natural charm and presence made her an appealing figure for directors eager to capture the excitement of pop culture on film. On television, Helen was a regular guest on variety shows, including the BBC ZDF special Pop Go the 60s, cementing her household name status. In early 1963, Helen headlined a UK package tour that famously featured the Beatles as a supporting act. During downtime on the tour, Lennon and McCartney rode From Me to You on Helen's tour bus, though it would go on to become one of the Beatles' own hits. Lennon and McCartney also offered Helen the song Misery, but it was turned down by her management. The Beatles instead recorded it for their debut album, Please Please Me. She also toured internationally, including a visit to Australia and New Zealand in October 1962, performing in Sydney and Melbourne, and later appearing on Australian TV's Bandstand in 1969. By the mid-1960s, Helen's chart success was waning. The arrival of beat groups and new female stars such as Dusty Springfield and Lulu made her style seem outdated. Despite recording solid singles like Let's Talk About Love and Little Miss Lonely, she was increasingly labeled as pre-Beatles. To sustain her career, Helen turned to cabaret work, performing in clubs and theatres across Britain, especially the working men's clubs in the northeast. These years were grueling, marked by constant travel and less glamour than the pop charts had offered. Her final cabaret performance came on the 6th of May 1972 at the Senate Club in Peterlee, where she announced she was stepping back from touring, citing exhaustion from living out of a suitcase. After Cabaret, Helen reinvented herself once again. She moved into musical theatre, taking on roles such as Nancy in Lionel Bart's Oliver, Sally Bowles in Cabaret, and leading roles in productions like Seesaw. By the late 1970s and into the 1980s, she embraced her passion for jazz, collaborating with Humphrey Lyttelton and his band between 1984 and 2001. She recorded jazz albums including Straighten Up and Fly Right in 1983, Echoes of the Duke in 1985, and The Quality of Mercer in 1987. In 1999, she launched her one-woman show, Simply Shapiro, which ran until 2002. These projects confirmed her versatility and resilience, moving far beyond the label of teenage pop star. On a personal note, Helen married theatre producer Duncan Weldon in 1967. The marriage ended in divorce in 1971. In 1988, she married actor John Judd, born John Williams, with whom she remains. A profound personal shift came in 1987, when Helen embraced Messianic Judaism, a faith that would shape her later life and music. In 1993, she released her autobiography, Walking Back to Happiness, offering candid reflections on her career highs, the struggles of early fame, and her spiritual journey. From the 1990s onward, Helen gradually reduced mainstream touring, instead focusing on her ministry and faith-based music. In 2002, she formally retired from mainstream performing, closing the book on 4 decades of pop, jazz, and theatre. After more than a decade away from the stage, in 2015, Helen returned selectively to music, with the formation of the trio Hebron, alongside Chrissy Rogers and Simon Elman. Together they performed harmony-based songs that blended biblical, folk, bluegrass, jazz, and Hebraic influences. Through her umbrella company Manna Music, she has remained active, though on her own terms. Today, Helen lives quietly with her husband John Judd. Though she no longer tours extensively, she continues to appear occasionally in faith-based events with Hebron, and curates music through Manna Music. She remains admired not only for her teenage stardom, but also for her grace and resilience, with which she reshaped her career over decades. And there you have it. From a Hackney council flat, to topping the charts before she was 15, from pop stardom to cabaret stages, West End musicals, jazz clubs, and eventually ministry, Helen has continually reinvented herself without losing the power of her remarkable voice or presence. Her story, her music, and her legacy remain deeply loved and celebrated by fans and music lovers across generations. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos just like this. Take care and bye for now.